Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Angel. This is my weekly overview for the week of January 12th. So, as you know, if you've been watching me for a while, I'm doing the overview and all the signs now in the one video because it's far less processing time for me. Thank you so much for all your feedback about that and your understanding and consideration. And thank you also so much for all your well wishes as I've had this cold. I'm sort of on the end of it now, still not quite 100%, but I have been taking all my orange fizzies and trying to look after myself. Next year, I'm going to have to really work on boosting my immune system. It seems to take me down every year since I've been in New York. So, I guess one way of looking at it, it is a forced rest. So, the last couple of months of the year, astrologically, with my work, are my busiest time. And I think it's just my body sort of saying, hey, if you're not going to stop, then we're going to sort of make you stop. So in that sense, it's a forced rest. And I am a big believer of listening to the messages that your body tells you. So, I did take note that, thanks so much, everybody, for all your well wishes on that. Okay, let's have a look at this year. Happy New Year. It's really just started off. Lots of promise this year. Go and have a look at the yearly reports. There's the yearly videos, also an annual written report on my New York Daily News pages and also on the Harper's Bazaar pages. So please go and, have a look at those, as I'm sure you're looking at everybody else's as well. So hopefully we're all saying the same message. It's just a different way of interpreting it. And, if you follow a few astrologies, you can pick up a little bit of extra information from each of us. So that's always a good idea. Also a great idea to have a look at your ascendant, your rising sign as well. So I always think that's good just to see how that's going to play out in your life. All right, so Mars is on the move this week. So right at the start of the week on the 12th, it's going to move into the sign of Pisces. Okay, now, as always, there's some pluses and minuses. So the pluses here is it's a very sort of seductive energy, I think, in Mars in the Pisces, because Pisces is romantic and it's also a little bit fanciful and idealist, and the Mars energy puts some passion behind that. So it's great for passion, in your relationships. It's great for getting yourself organized with goals as well and being passionate about life. It does set up a little bit of a secretiveness, so you want to be careful that you're not keeping secrets from the wrong people. Of course, not everybody needs to know everything about your life, but, be careful you're not holding, back information from those that you want to build closer relationships with. Okay, and the downside, it can cause some emotional stress and difficulty just unburdening that stress. It's almost like it can get caught in this little bubble, and within Pisces, it's a feeling of, if I let loose on how I really feel or let my emotions escape, it's like it's opening the floodgates, and sometimes it's just not appropriate time or situation to do that. So you want to try to, firstly, not be too concerned about other people. Secondly, try to give yourself the appropriate time, situations, circumstances to deal with your emotions as they build with the Mars energy. You want to be able to let them escape, okay, not push them down. All right, so what else is happening? We've got like a Venus in a sextile with Uranus. This is like a very magnetic connection, so it seems like very good for love this week. It's very independent as well. So remember, this compromise in everything in life has some level of compromise, and certainly relationships. Then we have Mercury, communication planet, also in a sextile with Uranus. So this gives you a very forthright way of speaking, getting your point of view across, and a lot of self-will and independence there as well. So which is great, but also remember that everybody has a point of view. It's not to say that yours is right or wrong or theirs is right or wrong. It's simply just different. So something to remember this week. Then right at the end of the week, at the 15th, or towards the end of the week, Mars is going to be squared in a square, which is traditionally a confronting aspect, and certainly between Mars and Saturn it can be, but with just a little bit of a hot, cold, stop, go sort of influence, because both of these energies are opposite. Like Mars is fast and furious, and Saturn is slow and cautious. So if you can use them to your advantage rather than getting stuck in that sort of opposition of it, which can be, cause a lot of frustration, use it to your advantage of the way that the Saturn slow and cautiousness really just helps you to take a step back, think things through, so you're not getting involved in risky business, okay? So that way, without the Saturn, the Mars can just, like, you get an idea, something sounds fabulous, you go after it. It may or may not be, as fabulous as you first see. So Saturn really sort of helps you just to think things through. So I think these two energies really work well together in that sense. It is a square, so there is going to be some level of frustration. Well, that's life. Don't get too caught up in it. Just try to step aside and witness it a little bit more, okay? Alrighty, let's have a look at a brief outline of each of the signs and see what's going on. So starting with Aries. So Mars, of course, is your ruling planet. It's going to move into the sign before you. So when we talk about secrets, then this is like a very sort of secretive area of your chart. It's also an area where you can get in touch with your dreams, hopes, and wishes. What is it you really want to achieve in life? And you can harness that energy. Okay, so be careful of telling everybody everything. You don't have to do that just because somebody wants to, delve into your inner psychic and know every single thing about you. It's up to you, Aries, when you reveal that information. Okay, friends can be quite supportive at the moment. They can also be quite demanding of your time. So you don't want to get anybody offside, because friends are there for you, real friends anyway, those ones you can count on your 5 fingers for the long haul. But you want to be sort of mindful that even though they can give you advice, it doesn't mean to say that you have to take it, okay? Now, on the love scene, a friend or somebody who you can build a strong, solid relationship with can really be better for you right now. And some of you may connect with somebody from the past. Others, if you're meeting somebody, then lust, passion, romance is fabulous, but often it's what you have in common and the friendship that you build, which is the glue that holds everything together, okay? So something to keep into mind. Now, there's a new moon this week as well, sitting in your solid, on the cusp of the 10th house and your 11th house. So it's just in your 11th house. Connections you make this week are going to be really important, because the new moon is on the 20th, which is next week, okay? So it's leading up to this time of chance meetings can really start to come through. All right, let's have a look at Taurus. Taurus, you've got a new moon coming up next week. We'll talk about that more next week, but it's in your career zone, along with a bunch of other planets and activity. Venus and Mercury are also in this area, so You can certainly get news, and positive news, it looks like too, okay, of opportunities coming through for work. So this is a really nice thing that's happening for you this week. It's going to build over this next couple of weeks. We do have Mercury about to go retrograde next week, so the more you can get locked down this week, the better off you're going to be, because when Mercury's retrograde, there's always that bit of confusion that comes through, and that's going to be mid next week. So this is a really important week for you to just get arrangements sorted out, and certainly with Mars moving into your solar 11th house, then you want to get arrangements sorted out on a personal level as well. But people can come forward from all sorts of areas just to help you, just to reach out and give you a lending hand. So, just say thank you. But remember, Taurus, remember that term, there never is a free lunch. I'm sure that's not exactly how the term goes, because I tend to get them mixed up, but somewhere along the track you want to try to balance out any favors that people give you or do for you over this time. Put it like in your journal of give and take, and at some time or other you want to reach out and give that back, okay? Now, what happens with your around work can also have an influence over this next immediate time on your home life as well. So it seems like there's a domino effect sort of coming through, and I remember very much writing about this in your daily horoscopes. Your daily horoscopes can be seen on the New York Daily News pages and also harpersbazaar.com. So it's like a domino effect. One thing happens, and then it moves along, and something else will happen. Tune into your instincts, because they are really, if you can't get all the information together, that's what's going to tell you what's really going on. And okay, all right. So Gemini. Right opposite you, Gemini, of course, for the long term now, best part of 3 years. We've got planet of stability, Saturn, right opposite you there at the end of this week. We've got that square between Mars and Saturn. So it's almost like what happens in around your work situation can also have an effect on your relationships, or the relationships that you work are sort of up for review. Now, you want to be, in one sense, you want to say to you, say exactly how you feel. In another sense, you want to be a little bit diplomatic on how you say. So don't squash your feelings down. If somebody is really doing something that's not okay with you, then, call them on it. But in the way that you call them on it, I always think it's important to call people on their stuff, particularly if it's a regular, reoccurring situation, because if you don't, then they don't learn, and you just tend to squash those feelings down, okay? And we don't want to do that. So, but the way you do it is better in a diplomatic way, okay? You don't have to be harsh and brash. All right, so and earlier in the week, on the 13th, 14th, we do have these aspects with Uranus sitting in your 11th house, all to do with connections and friends, and one with Venus and one with your ruling planet, Mercury. Now, these are both sitting in your solar 9th house. Anything to do with travel around this time, you want to double check the arrangements, and you want to get the arrangements set now, because Mercury is going to go retrograde next week, okay? And we know when Mercury is retrograde, there's always that incidence of confusion that happens. Now, also, if you're doing any studies, this is a great time if you're thinking about getting things set for the year of studies, higher learning, education. This is a great time to get that set, because when Mercury goes retrograde, that's a great time to actually knuckle down and do the study or research or planning. So if you can get things sort of in place this week, then that's a very, very favorable thing for you to do. Now remember, you're the one that needs to make these decisions. So even though other people will probably want to put their 2 bob in, or their 2 cents in, listen, but you don't have to comply, okay? You make up your own mind, okay, Gemini? Okay, Cancer. So right opposite you, Cancer, we still have the Sun sitting in your area of relationships, along with Pluto, of course. Pluto's there for the long haul, which does help you to look for relationships that have a deeper meaning and a deeper understanding, and for you to see how these relationships are serving you in your life. Now, next week we do have the new moon. It's going to be, let's have a look, right at the early in the week. It's going to be on the cusp of your relationship area. It's actually going to be in your solar 8th house, which can be a new start with monetary matters. And I want to bring this up now because there is a bit of activity in this area of your chart this week. So we've got two aspects with Uranus. Uranus sits in your solar 10th house, all to do with business, and Venus and Mercury are here in the solar 8th house. So what goes down with business? Some opportunities can actually float across your desk right now that can be to help to set you up. Now, it's very important if you can get this tied down and locked down this week, because Mercury is going to be going retrograde next week. And when Mercury goes retrograde, it can just cloud a little bit of confusion around. Mercury retrograde periods are better for planning, researching, rather than instigating and activating things. Okay, so if you can get in any situations or deals or arrangements that you've got pending, if you can get them locked down this week, then that'd be great. Now, Mars is going to move into your solar, let's have a look, your solar 9th house. Very good for study as well. It's very good for you to just get in touch with what you want to do and the way that you want to do it. Could also be some travel happening. The 9th house is generally about travel or dealing with different cultures or learning about different cultures in some way. Now, if there's issues that come up from the past, then this will really highlight it during this period. So you want to just over this next month is just look at, and particularly as Mercury is going retrograde, it's a great time to sort of look at what's gone on, what you have to deal with. It can come up in an emotional sense. You're a water sign, so but with the Mars in Pisces, it can sometimes be difficult to not get in touch with the emotions, but to express them. Okay, so you want to make sure that you express them in a assertive and not an aggressive way. It's probably the best way to say that. But great things happening for you over this year, and it's a great kickoff to the year around your business, Cancer. So just get that set, as I said, if you can. All right, so let's have a look at Leo the lion. So right opposite you, there's a lot of activity going in your solar 7th house. We've got Mars is in there right at the start of the week. It's going to move out into your 8th house, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But all around this relationship area is like a new beginning coming up, because we've got a new moon in this area, just in this area, at a critical degree on the 0 degree, right on the cusp of Capricorn there. So that's going to happen early next week. So we're leading up to that. So what happens this week with Venus and Mercury in this area of your chart? In the favorable aspects with Uranus, you can have like a magnetic connection with someone, but it's also a very independent position of you, very independence with Uranus, sorry, I'm looking at the sign and can't see it. So you want to be careful. There's always a level of compromise in relationships. So you want your independence, sure, but if you want a relationship, and as a Leo, Leos need to have that connection, then keep in mind there's always some level of compromise to make. Okay, so don't get your willpower so find, tune and dig your sort of heels in about what you want. Try to consider that, if you truly love someone, or you meet someone who you feels has potential as a relationship, and let's face it, how many people do we really meet that we want to sort of have a deep and meaningful connection with? And when that happens in your life, then you want to step back and think, well, how can I make this work? Because really, with the knowledge that there is some level of compromise in all relationships, and you want someone that's going to just work in with you. You give a bit, they give a bit, and somehow then it all clicks together. So try and put that little bit of extra effort into a relationship over this time, because if you're looking for love, then it can happen. If you're in a relationship, you can take it to the next level, but it's up to you, Leo. Okay. All right, so, and let's not forget that new moon is like a new start next year. All right, so let's move on and have a look at Virgo. So Virgo, you've got Mars going to move into your solar 7th house. This is all to do with around relationships. It's been in your solar 6th house. It is still here right at the start of the week. So your work area is likely to have been frantic, not just busy, but frantic. And the one thing that's probably missed out along the way is you looking after you a little bit better. Okay, now Venus is still in this area, so it's a great time if you feel that you need a little bit of a push to have an image overhaul, or, just be the best that you can be, then this is a good time to do that. So bring the focus back to you, particularly as Mars moves in. And Mars is a very passionate energy, moves into that solar 6th house. And it's going to prompt you to be very open and honest about how you feel about yourself first, and second about someone else. So, and getting in touch with those feelings, of course, is the first step. Then you want to find a way that you can express them. And as a Virgo, as an earth sign, then often the best way to do that is to put it in writing. And even if you don't send a letter to someone or email, once you put it in writing, it just helps you to clarify your own feelings, which then in turn helps you to express it better. So, go and get yourself a journal. You probably already got many. If you need a new one, then the new year is a great time to do that. I always get 2 new journals every year, one for personal and one for business, and then I generally have a few for special projects as well. So I'm an earth sign, Capricorn, so we love to write things down. It really helps to clarify it for us. All right, so and that new moon is coming up next week as well, which is right there in your solar 6th house. Great time, as I said, for you to focus more attention on you. And some new business opportunities can come through as well over this time. Okay, let's have a look at Libra. So Libra, opposite you there with Uranus, there's a couple of aspects with Uranus this week. There's right on the 13th and 14th, so at the start and the middle of the week, we've got Venus and also Mercury. So they're both in the same area. They're in your solar 5th house. Great area to get out and be social, mix with people. If it's about business, then teamwork is going to be great for you. If it's about your personal life, which it more likely is if it's because it's on your 5th and the 7th house, both about relationships and personal matters, then put a little extra attention on your home life as well, because we still have the sun in that area. And if you feel that you've been neglecting those that you feel the most about, the people that are closest to you, those that really are there for you through thick and thin, this is the week to really put a bit more attention on there. Particularly great time to say how you feel, have a heart-to-heart, especially as Mercury next week is going to go retrograde, okay? So, and, it's not that you can't, have a deep and meaningful when Mercury's retrograde, but there is more chance of things getting misconstrued, okay? So this is a great time to really put it out there of how you feel. Now, Mars is going to move into your solar 6th house, so you're going to start to get very busy at work. And the one thing you need to be careful about here is that you save some time for you, okay? Don't sort of work around the clock and trying to keep everybody happy and trying to get every single thing on your to-do list crossed out, and guess what? At the end of the day, who's missed out? And that's you. So your health, well-being is still very, very always, not still, always very important. So bring it up the list a bit more and focus your attention on there, okay? All right, let's have a look at Scorpio. So Scorpio, your home area, your life, your domestic area, and also self-nurturing, very much under the microscope now. And there's likely to be some conflict between work and home in the way that everybody wants your attention. It's a very, demands put on you. And so what you'll need to do is just make sure that you're working on what you need to be. Try not to cater to everybody else and don't cater to your own stuff, okay? So there's likely to be some last minute changes as well, and when this happens, then you want to make sure that your highest priority of what the things that you need to do, your deadlines or the people you need to see or reach out to or talk to, that they're catered first. So right at the start of the week, do your to-do list, get the most important tasks out of the way first. Keep your schedule a little bit flexible, as there are likely to be some changes, but the changes likely to be opportunities, so you're going to want to sort of flow with it a bit and see what comes out. Great time to be proactive, because the next week that Mercury is going to go retrograde and it can start to slow things down a bit. So this is a great action week, putting things into order. Now, around money, we've got it right at the start of the week that square between Mars and Saturn. Now, very much to do with your self-worth. It's almost like if somebody is challenging you to stand up and put a price on yourself, of your self-worth, then think carefully about this, okay? Don't shortchange yourself, Scorpio, okay? You are fantastic. You do have excellent skills, attributes, and knowledge. So take this into consideration and make sure you put the price on your work and your expertise that it deserves, all right? All right, so let's go forward now and have a look at Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, so first of all, I'm going to look at the end of the week with the Mars and Saturn square, because Saturn in your sign, Mars by then will have moved into your area of your home, your domestic and family. So if there's a situation been going on around home, then it's likely you're not going to be able to avoid it this week, okay? But keep in mind that these two energies are quite opposite. So the Mars is like fast and furious, and the Saturn is slow and cautious, as I mentioned in the overview. So it's going to help you just take a step back, have a look at what's going on. Try to put yourself in someone else's shoes. I mean, you may be right, but, there's that old saying, and I always get the sayings mixed up, but, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? So it's like this situation. Do you want to be right, or do you want an outcome? Do you want a suitable conclusion? Okay, so in that sense, you're going to have to take a step back and put yourself in other people's shoes and just see what's really going on here. How can we stop the cycle of conflict, or the cycle of just going around and around, and deal with a situation, okay? So, all right, let's move on and have a look at what's happening with the other areas of your chart, and Uranus particularly, your solar fifth house, very much to do with creativity, relationships, coming together, working with people. Good week for communication. Good week for relationships. Okay, so we've just got that little niche at the end of the week where you need to tidy up something to do with family, but leading up to that, we've got Venus and Mercury in a favorable connection with Uranus, and Venus and Mercury is sitting in your third house, which is all to do with communication. And now Mercury is going to go retrograde next week. Okay, so this is a great week to get things locked down and tied down. When Mercury is retrograde, it's a better time to really, focus on the planning, research, getting things in order. But this is a great time now just to make the decisions, be proactive, initiate things, and get things sort of tied down, signed, sealed, and delivered. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, so Capricorn, next week rather, Capricorn, we've got a new moon. It's going to be on the cusp of your sign. It's actually in your solar second house, so the next sign to you, which is Aquarius. Excuse me. Now, this is like a new start around money and finances. Now, leading up to this time, this week, we've got two favorable connections with Uranus. Now, Uranus is in your home, family. It's been there for forever, it seems. It's going to be like there forever. But really around your home, family area, connecting with people, getting solid relationships, self-nurturing as well. Now, particularly the self-nurturing, because this week is good for you to do some work on yourself. So even though this new moon and Venus and Mercury are going to be sextile with Uranus, and Venus and Mercury are in your solar second house, all to do with money, possessions, very much to do with how worthy you feel of accepting in your life what you want to attract, okay? So this is a great week to do some self-work. Great week, particularly at the start of the year, to banish any of those thoughts that you feel unworthy of achieving or accepting things in your life, and really just do your goals, look at your goals. You're a Capricorn, you've probably already done your goals. If you haven't, get them done this week. Next week, Mercury is going to go retrograde, so that's also a great week for planning. But this is a better week to initiate things and get things sort of set. I mean, your goals are always being reviewed because you're changing all the time. So, as we move through life, we grow, evolve, we get to know ourselves more, we, get involved in more self-discovery, then our preferences and our values change. So as that happens, so do our goals. So that's why we need to just reassess all the time where we are, who we are, where we want to be, and how we're going to get there. Okay, so if you can initiate that process, reassess that process this week, and while Mercury is retrograde, then you can start to fine tune it a little bit more. But there's great opportunities going to due to come through for you around money. Hooray! And not everything's going to be suitable. And also what this does highlight is, as opportunities come through, be careful that you don't shortchange yourself, okay? And it all comes back to how much you value yourself. So this is a great time. Get yourself a life coach, buy a book, get a reading, whatever it is that's going to help you just be the best that you can be. Now, Mars is going to move out of this area and move into the next sign, which is your solar third house. Now, this is communication. It's going to move into the sign of Pisces. So there can be some secretive around here, but also it's great for communication with yourself. Once again, quite often we see these layers and layers that happen in a chart, and I often see that when I work on a personal chart, and I see the same thing happening here. So what this placement does is it does help you to get in touch with your emotions, but it can be somewhat difficult to express them. But, as they say, knowing or acknowledging or having an understanding of is the very first step. And from that level, everything else then, can be revealed. So this, of course, everything has its challenges. But yeah, this I like this very much for us Capricorn. It allows us really to unburden any blocks that we have, and that's what it's about. We want to be the best that we can be, and to do that, then sometimes we just have to get rid of and unburden certain blocks that we've got in our life. And particularly as the end of the week, we have Mars in a square to Saturn being our ruling planet, and right there behind us in our solar 12th house, once again, it will help us get in touch with anything that we need to look at and discard so we can, move on fresh, and particularly to take advantage of that new moon that's coming at the start of next week, which is all about abundance and attracting material possessions in our life, which of course gives us more stability and security and lets us sleep better at night. Okay, all right, let's move on, have a look at Aquarius. So next week, Aquarius, we've got the new moon is going to be just in your sign. It's like 0 degrees, so it's a very critical degree. It's going to highlight anything that you need to get rid of, that you've been carrying with you for some time. This is the start of your whole new solar cycle, so use this to really delve in, dig deep, and discard, old patterns and old views, old values, perceptions, so you can start this next solar new year off afresh. And certainly with this week, we've got Mars moving into your solar second house, okay? So this is going to help you get down to business with particularly monetary aspects, and have a good look at what the state of your bank account, and if you can change the way that you do things, you know what they say, you do the same thing, you're going to get the same thing. So you can make some changes over this period, fairly swift changes, to increase and improve your material financial status. However, be careful, because Mars can also make you, do some rash decisions, all right? So you want to sort of just be careful of going too quickly into anything. And certainly at the end of the week on the 15th, we have Mars is going to square Saturn, and the energy of these two just help you take a step back and look at things a little more closely to see, is this really what I want to do? Is it, going to work out for me the way, and it helps you to, the way that you want, helps you to stop, making a rash decision, which perhaps you might be a little better thinking through, okay? Now, particularly anything to do with monetary matters around friends. If you're dealing with friends, then, don't let all your business concepts fly out the window. If it's about money, then you need to follow the same principles as you would for a business transaction. You want everybody to know what they're accountable for, what their responsibilities are. Put it in writing, particularly as Mercury is going to retrograde in your sign next week. We don't want any, miscommunications or things happening down the track, okay, that it can cause any issues. So if you do the right work, set it up right now, you can avoid that. So, all in all, there's some great things coming up for you, great opportunities this week. and certainly there's a lot of independence with your speech, and of course, independence of speech. That's one of the USA rights in the Constitution. So, but there's always a way to go about it. Don't forget, everybody has that right. So, it's not to say that you're right or wrong or anyone else is right or wrong. It just is, and it's just a difference of opinion. So you want to keep that in mind this week as well. All right, so let's move on to Pisces. So Pisces, Mars, the planet of action, passion, is going to move into your sign early this week. So, okay, it's always a plus and a minus. So let's go through and have a look at what this is going to mean for you. All right, so in one sense, the difficulty here is going to be just getting in touch or a hold on or being able to manage the amount of emotion that this is going to trigger, because Mars is the trigger. Okay, wherever Mars is, it's going to trigger. Now, if you've got some secrets that you've been have been holding on to, then really it's harder to hold on to things than it is to let it go. You may not think so, but the more that you hold on to things, or the more that you hold on to emotions that you've buried down deep, then the more that you're going to block yourself from living the life that you want to live, your dream life, the life that you dream about at night, and your idealistic life. And why shouldn't you be idealistic? I mean, I always say there's a good balance between being idealistic and realistic, but really everything starts from a thought, and it should start from your ideals, I think, anyway. So this is going to help you just get passionate about your life, get passionate about what you want to do, and it'll also start to trigger anything that you've buried down deep inside of you that's stopping you from living this dream. So allow it to come up. I know that, with the Pisces energy and with Mars, sometimes this can be, so forceful that it's scary, because you think, if I let my emotions go, then what's going to happen? It's like a floodgates have come opening, and I'm not going to be able to stop it. It's not always, let's say, it's not always the time, place, or situation that you can do that. So hence is want to put a lid on it. So what I'm suggesting to you is find the time, place that's suitable, that allows you to feel those emotions, bring them up and let them go. And once you can do that, clears the energy path for you then to live the life that you are here to live, the life and the purposeful life that you're meant to live, okay? So that's that. Let's move on now and have a look at the two aspects that are happening with Uranus. Now, Uranus sitting in there in your monetary area of your life, and the two aspects are with Venus and Mercury, both in the sign before you. So once again, it's about your dreams, hopes, and wishes. So you want to feel worthy. So it's like your dreams, hopes, and wishes about what you want to achieve in life. And there's a worthiness that comes up here. You want to feel worthy of accepting, attracting, and manifesting everything in life that you desire, okay? And once again, it's about diving down and doing the work, okay? And there's really no other way around that. You've got to do the work. Now, later on in the week, we've got Mars, which will be in your sign by then, in a square with Saturn. And Saturn's in your 10th house, all to do with your purpose in life, that you want to make, the difference in your life that you want to make through your career and business. And these are quite opposite energies, like as I explained in the overview. If you happen to watch that, Mars is like fast and furious energy, and Saturn is like slow and cautious. So it can set up some level of frustration. But I love these two together because what it does is it stops you from making rash decisions which may not work for you long term. So Mars wants to like just go ahead and do it. Saturn wants to pull you back. Let's think about this. Let's go through and use our analytical senses and just to think this through. So the two of you, once you have thought it through, the Mars then gives you the energy to really put it into practice and put some action to it. So the two of them, although frustrating, can work very well together. All right, so good luck to you, love and luck to you and everybody, and I have a great week. See you next week. Bye for now.